What would you do if one day you discovered that an entire neighborhood had been secretly using something that belonged to you for over a decade? Not borrowing, not sharing, but taking it every single day as if it was theirs. No permission, no agreement, no legal right, just pure assumption. That's exactly what happened when Dale Harmon, a recently retired civil engineer, decided to invest his life savings into something simple: peace, land, and freedom. After 40 years of working on infrastructure projects, pipelines, and water systems, Dale wanted silence. No city noise, no deadlines, just open skies and 1,000 acres of untouched farmland, sitting right next to a quiet, suburban neighborhood managed by an HOA on the surface. It looked perfect: calm houses, neat lawns, friendly waves from a distance, the kind of place where nothing ever goes wrong. But Dale wasn't the kind of man who believed in perfect. He believed in details. And details have a way of revealing the truth. The first week after moving in, Dale did what he always did. He walked his land. Every inch of it, not because he didn't trust the paperwork, but because experience had taught him one thing: the land always tells a story that documents don't. As he moved further out toward the edge of his property, the side closest to the HOA, something unusual caught his eye. A thick industrial-grade water pipe. Old, rusted in places, but still very much active. That didn't make sense. This wasn't city land. This was private property. His property. Curious, Dale followed the pipe, step by step, through dry grass past a worn-out fence line, until he found something that made him stop completely. The pipe wasn't just sitting there, it was connected, running straight from a deep groundwater well and extending beyond his land, directly into the HOA neighborhood. And in that moment, everything changed. Because Dale didn't just see a pipe. He saw 11 years of unauthorized access. He saw thousands of gallons of water being taken. And most importantly, he saw a mistake the HOA had no idea they'd made. A mistake that was about to cost them everything. Dale didn't react the way most people would. No shouting. No confrontation. No knocking on doors demanding answers. Instead, he did something far more dangerous. He stayed quiet. Because Dale knew one simple truth: the moment you reveal what you know, you lose your advantage. So the next morning, while the HOA residents went about their routines, sprinklers running, lawns being watered, kids playing outside, completely unaware, Dale went back to that pipe. This time, not as a curious landowner, but as an engineer. He crouched down, studied the valve system, checked the pressure, the flow direction. And within minutes, he confirmed what he already suspected. The water wasn't just passing through his land. It was being sourced from his well. That meant one thing: every drop being used by that entire neighborhood legally belonged to him. And they had no idea. Instead of making noise, Dale made a plan. Over the next few days, he began documenting everything: photos, videos, measurements. He traced the entire pipeline system like a detective building a case: where it entered his property, where it exited, how deep it was buried, even the age of the materials. Nothing was left to guesswork. Because Dale wasn't preparing for an argument, he was preparing for a win. Then came the moment that made things even more interesting. One afternoon, while inspecting the far end of the line near the HOA boundary, Dale noticed a maintenance worker adjusting something near the pipe junction. Not hiding it. Not sneaking around. Just casually working, like everything was completely normal. Dale walked up calmly and asked a simple question. "Hey, this water line, who does it belong to?" The worker barely looked up before answering, almost automatically. "Oh, that? It's the HOA's water supply. Been using it for years. For years." Just like that. No hesitation. No doubt. And that single sentence told Dale everything he needed to know. This wasn't a mistake they had just discovered. This wasn't temporary. This was a system they believed they owned. And that belief was about to become their biggest problem. By the end of that week, Dale had something most people in disputes never have: absolute proof. Not assumptions, not opinions, evidence, clean, organized, undeniable evidence. But instead of rushing to shut everything down, he did something unexpected. He let it continue. Because Dale wasn't interested in stopping the problem. He was interested in exposing it. Days turned into weeks, and every single day, the HOA continued using his water like nothing had changed. Sprinklers running in the early mornings. Lawns staying perfectly green while the surrounding land stayed dry. Cars being washed. Gardens thriving. It looked like a peaceful neighborhood. But behind that calm surface, thousands of gallons of water were quietly being taken, straight from Dale's land. And Dale documented all of it. He installed discrete monitoring equipment near the well, measured daily output, calculated usage patterns, even cross-referenced water flow with specific times of day when the HOA systems were most active. By the time he was done, he didn't just know that they were using his water, he knew exactly how much, when, and for how long. 11 years, that number kept coming back. Based on pipe condition, wear patterns, and system design, Dale estimated the setup had been running for over a decade, which meant this wasn't just unauthorized use anymore. This was a long-term, large-scale violation. And in legal terms, that changes everything. But Dale still hadn't made his move. Not yet. Instead, he decided to test something. One evening, without warning, he walked up to the main valve on his property and slowly turned it off. Nothing dramatic. Just a simple twist. Then he waited. At first, nothing happened. The neighborhood looked the same, quiet, normal. But within an hour, the cracks started to show. Sprinkler systems began sputtering, then stopped completely. Garden hoses lost pressure. And one by one, confusion started spreading across the HOA. People stepped outside, checking their taps, looking around, talking to each other. What happened to the water? And for the first time in years, they realized something was wrong. What they didn't realize yet was that the control had never been theirs to begin with. It didn't take long. Within a few hours of the water shutting off, the calm, picture-perfect HOA began to crack under pressure. Phones started ringing. Messages flooded the neighborhood group chats. Someone blamed the city. Someone blamed maintenance. But no one, not a single person, suspected the truth. Until the next morning, a black SUV rolled slowly onto the dirt edge of Dale's property. Then another, and another. Within minutes, 3 members of the HOA board, sharply dressed, visibly irritated, stepped out and walked straight toward him. No smiles this time. No friendly waves, just tension. Dale stood there calmly, hands in his jacket pockets, like he had been expecting them. "Are you having issues with your water too?" one of them asked, trying to sound casual, but failing. Dale looked at them for a moment, then said something that completely shifted the air. "No, I turned it off." Silence. The kind of silence that hits before everything explodes. "You what?" Another board member snapped, stepping forward. "I turned it off," Dale repeated, calm and steady. "It's my well. My land, my water." That's when the tone changed instantly. Voices got louder. Accusations started flying. One of them pulled out their phone, threatening legal action. Another insisted there must be some kind of shared agreement, easement, contract, something. But Dale didn't argue. He didn't need to. Instead, he walked back to his truck, opened the door, and pulled out a thick, organized folder. Page after page of documentation, photos, maps, flow data, property records, dates, measurements, 11 years of evidence, laid out with precision only someone like Dale could manage. He handed it over without a word, and as they flipped through it, their confidence started to disappear, because for the first time, they weren't dealing with assumptions anymore. They were staring at facts. Cold, legal, undeniable facts. And then Dale said the one sentence they weren't ready to hear. "You've been taking water from my property for over a decade, without permission. Now tell me, how do you want to fix it?" No anger, no shouting, just control. And in that moment, the power had completely shifted. For the first time since they arrived, no one from the HOA had anything to say. The confidence, the authority, the attitude, it was all gone, replaced by something far more fragile: realization. Because this wasn't just a misunderstanding anymore. This was liability. Massive liability. The board members stepped aside, whispering to each other, flipping through Dale's documents again and again, like somehow the facts might change if they looked hard enough. But they didn't. Every page told the same story: dates, flow rates, property lines, engineering assessments. Everything pointed to one unavoidable truth. They had been using something that was never theirs, and now they were caught. A few days later, the letters started arriving, not from they, but from their lawyers. Carefully worded, polite, controlled, they tried to reframe it as a long-standing misunderstanding, they proposed. Negotiations, compensation, even suggested a retroactive agreement to make everything right. But Dale had already made his decision. This wasn't about a quick payout. This was about accountability. He responded through his own legal team, not with anger, not with threats, but with precision. A full demand, immediate cessation of all unauthorized use, compensation for over a decade of water extraction, and a legally binding agreement ensuring nothing like this could ever happen again. The HOA didn't have many options left. Fighting it in court would expose everything publicly, and they knew they would lose. The evidence was too strong, the timeline too clear, the violation too long, so eventually they folded. A settlement was reached, a costly one. The OA paid for every year they had taken water, funded the complete removal and rerouting of the pipeline, and were forced to install their own independent water system, one that didn't rely on someone else's land. And just like that, it was over. The water stopped flowing from Dale's property for good. The neighborhood went back to looking peaceful again: green lawns, quiet streets, perfect appearances. But this time, there was a difference. They knew the truth. And so did Dale, because in the end, he didn't just protect his land. He proved something most people forget. Ownership isn't about what people assume. It's about what you can prove. And Dale Harmon? He proved everything.